The Romanian Ministry of Defense just greenlit a massive $4 billion investment. Bucharest has officially chosen the Lynx KF41 infantry fighting vehicle, built by the German defense giant Rheinmetall. This huge deal secures 298 new Lynx units for the Romanian army, while finally retiring their aging MLI-84 fleet, which is basically an obsolete relic from the Soviet era. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, China has officially named their newest fifth-generation fighter jet, giving it a title that screams ruler of the seas. Let's break down these two interesting pieces of news one by one, starting with Romania. Citing defense news, Romania's $4 billion investment brings in 298 units of this German-made monster. The financing scheme is pretty interesting. Out of the total units needed, 232 of them will be directly funded through a soft loan from the EU Security Action for Europe, or SAFE facility. That comes from a total European Crisis Fund allocation of 16.7 billion euros set aside for Romania. The reason behind Romania's modernization is a classic one. The combat vehicles they've been using are armored platforms with structural designs dating back to the 1960s. The modern warfare we're seeing in Eastern Europe has shown just how brutal things can get. Sticking with old platforms and weak protection is just asking for pointless destruction. Today's threats, like FPV kamikaze drones and guided anti-tech missiles, just can't be countered with Cold War-era tech. That's why this military overhaul is a massive priority for Romania's national defense, especially since they border the Black Sea. From a technical standpoint, Romania ultimately went with the Lynx KF41 because of the maximum level protection it offers. They were drawn to the Lynx, a heavy-class armored beast that can weigh up to 50 tons, depending on the armor package installed. The Lynx has a pretty unique feature. If the vehicle takes damage from a strike on one side, the armor modules can be quickly detached and swapped out right behind the front lines. No need to drag the whole vehicle back to a factory. Romania will be operating the variant equipped with the Lance turret, a cutting-edge two-man weapons cupola system. This turret rocks a digital fire control system that can track and blast fast-moving targets, whether in broad daylight or pitch-black darkness. To get that maximum protection, Romania isn't sweating the cost. Sure, it eats up taxpayer money, but it's arguably worth it to secure 298 units of top-tier protection for their military. On the other hand, the debate over the effectiveness of heavy armored vehicles against cheap few $100 drones continues to heat up among military analysts. They point out that no matter how thick the armor is, it always has blind spots, especially on top of the vehicle. To get around this, Rheinmetall has reportedly designed the Lynx KF41 with an open architecture, allowing it to integrate short-range air defense systems and active anti-drone protection in the future. If Romania really takes advantage of these adaptive features, the Lynx won't just be a walking fortress, but an active defense system capable of adapting to constantly evolving warfare tactics. While Romania is busy beefing up its borders with thick steel, China's having an interesting moment of its own. Shenyang Aircraft Corporation in China finally lifted the veil on the identity of their Navy's fifth-generation stealth fighter. The carrier-based fighter we've all known as the J-35 now officially goes by the operational name Blue Shark. This official naming is a big clue to the world. It means this next-gen fighter program has wrapped up its technical experiments and prototype phase, and is ready to step into mass production to strengthen the Chinese Navy's air fleet. The Chinese Navy's tradition of naming their air units has always been tied to marine predators. The J-35 follows in the footsteps of its predecessors like the J-15, dubbed the Flying Shark, and the J-15D electronic warfare variant known as the Electric Shark. Technically speaking, the J-35's development has been a long journey since the FC-31 prototype, which first flew back in 2012. In terms of propulsion, the J-35 evolved from using Russian RD-93 engines to domestic WS-13E engines, and now it's moving towards the WS-19 engine, projected to pump out up to 116 kN of thrust. With a maximum takeoff weight of 30,000 kilograms and a combat radius of about 1,200 kilometers on internal fuel, the J-35 sits in the same class as the US F-35C. Its main advantage is its internal weapons bay, featuring 6 hardpoints capable of carrying PL-15 or PL-21 long-range air-to-air missiles, plus 500-kilogram precision bombs, all while keeping a low stealth profile. However, the Blue Shark name only belongs to the carrier variant. The land-based J-35A variant is reportedly nicknamed Yaowang, which translates to something like Radiant Dragon. On the flip side, the Army has given it a slightly different name, calling it Yunlong or Cloud Dragon. Now, just because the J-35 might soon be fully operational with its new name, doesn't mean China's capabilities are completely on par with the US just yet. China might be able to copy designs and produce them quickly to try and match the size of the US fleet, but there's one thing China still lacks, and that's deep experience in this area. But that doesn't mean China will stay behind forever, especially since they keep expanding their influence in Asian and African countries to gain support and get a taste of shaping global dynamics, much like the US has been doing for years. And if the US doesn't keep pushing development and gets bogged down in ongoing conflicts, it's entirely possible China will catch up sooner rather than later. The dynamics playing out in Romania and East Asia are a mirror of the new reality in global security. Romania's massive investment to bring the Lynx to NATO's eastern flank, and the birth of a new power called the Blue Shark from Chinese military industry proved that whoever adapts the fastest is ready to come out on top. And winning doesn't always mean crushing the enemy. Winning can also just mean achieving security. It leaves us with a real question. Is what Romania doing the right move? And is it enough? Or will it just end up being a pointless purchase considering the massive and constant evolution of FPV drones? Can 50 tons of steel really hold up to them? We'll just have to wait and see. As for the Chinese military, who knows what their next move will be now that the J-35 has hit mass production with its new name. Will they stop at the J-35 after successfully copying the US F-35, or will they create a completely new monster of their own like the J-20? Let's keep an eye on how it all unfolds.